Well, you know what? I mean, the times that we had with you at St Andrews, said just before the show, I mean, you are solely responsible in the whole world for the technical area. Absolutely.
Yeah, because they go out of it so that, yeah, I know. And look, I'm just like you Blue Noses. I'm a fan at heart, and when we scored, I didn't know what I was going to do. But
we like that nowadays.
I had a little run down the line, and you know, it was great. The fans responded, like I said earlier. The Blue Noses are as mad as what I am, and that's why we got on so well. We're both very passionate and committed for our club, and there's nobody more so got the passion and the commitment than Birmingham City fans, that's for sure. And
that's an absolute joy to hear, mate, honestly.
And to be honest, you've been in turmoil for so many times. I mean, you was in turmoil before I came to the club. In fact, before Sullivan.
Yeah, then what did you do? You got us relegated.
yeah. Well, you was already bottom of the drift, but by a long shot when I come in December. But although we had a great run at the end, I think we won 6, drew 2, lost 1 of the last 9 games.
Yeah. The
last game at Tranmere was absolutely fantastic. We won that, but unfortunately, the Baggies beat Jim Smith's Portsmouth, and they stayed up on goal difference. We got from bottom to 4th bottom, but you know, we still got relegated. But I'll never forget that day at Tranmere. Copper come into the dressing room and said, Barry, you and the players will have to go out. The fans are all dressed up in fancy dress and they won't leave. They're on the pitch. So we all went out thinking we'd get murdered, and the fans ran at us. I thought they was going to string me up. They put me on the and run round, as though they did all the lads, and run round the ground. I mean, it's fantastic, unbelievable. Yeah. And after that, I said, well, we'll do the double next year. We'll win the league and we'll win the auto windscreen shield. Everybody laughed at me, especially after 5 games. We hadn't won a game.
Yeah.
But we did have a lot of injuries, and I knew once we got it right. And again, that year was fantastic. The fans come back in their droves. Again, I'll never forget the Huddersfield game where we got promotion. Again, all the fans was dressed in fancy dress, and that time we wanted to go out on the pitch after the game to celebrate. And I remember Neil Warnock saying, the Coppers won't let you. And me and David Gold just went by the Coppers and went onto the pitch to the end where all the fans was, and all the players followed us, and the reception we got from the Blue Noses was unbelievable. Yeah. And then, of course, you talk about winning the double and going to Wembley. I mean, what a day that was. There was 78,000 for the auto windscreen shield final, of which 55,000 was Blue Noses.
Yeah.
The golden goal. And it took another Blue Nose, Tatey, to score the winner.
Yeah. I think when we had Daish on as well, he said there was a problem with the ties or something, and he had to walk down the London High Street at Wembley and try and find a shop to sell some ties.
Yeah, we that's right. We for some reason or other, the club wanted promotion more than they wanted that. And you know, I asked after the game, win, lose or draw, I wanted to stay in London, and the board said no, because if you remember, we had Brentford at home on a Wednesday, which I think they was top, we were second at the time, and we beat them. Marvellous, 25,000 sellout at St Andrews, marvellous occasion. We beat them 2-0 and went top, but with the ties, he had to go in. I don't know where he went in, Marks and Spencer's, and got a load of ties, so we all looked the same. And we wasn't supposed to have a celebration, but we did, and we went to the Swallow Hotel in Enfield. And while we was having a knees up, I got a phone call from Karen, giving me the biggest bollocking I've ever had.
Oh, swear on number 1.
Because she said to me, you bastard. I said, I've just had Doug Ellis on. I went, what about? She said, didn't you see when Tatey scored the goal, he took his shirt off? I said, yeah, it's to celebrate. He said, yeah, you know what he had underneath? You told him to put it on. I said, what are you talking about, Karen? She said it had shit on the villa. I don't know nothing about it. She said, yes, you did. I've heard you give every single player a shirt to wear, so whoever scored, that's what happened. I said, Karen, I don't know what you're talking about. And I didn't know what she talked about. I didn't have a clue. But obviously, Tatey being Tatey, somebody done the shirt, and of course he wore it because he knew he was going to score the golden goal.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I got to blame. Karen thought I'd give every player. I didn't even think about that. All I thought about was winning the game and celebrating, and then going back to the main event, playing Brentford at home on a Wednesday. What a magnificent game that! I've never known an atmosphere at St Andrews like it was that night. It was electric.
Yeah,
but then we had a few more games to seal our promotion, and we stumbled. We drew, and like I say, we had to go to Huddersfield away from home last game of the season to win. But we all felt confident that we would win, and that was a year, if you remember, only one went up because there was a change of the leagues. So it's very, very important that we won that game. I know it was incredible what the Birmingham City fans got up to was nothing short of miraculous at times. I mean, you didn't know what they was going to do next. But marvellous support. All the lads loved the support you give us. It lifted us at times when we needed lifting. And everybody talks about the fans being the 12th man. During my 2.5 years at Birmingham City, the fans were certainly the 12th man. They lifted us so many times.
Yeah, if I may, we'll take it back. We get promoted, obviously, that season at Huddersfield. And then the following summer, we were linked. And I wondered how close we were to signing them. We were linked with Kenneth Anderson, Jean-Pierre Papin and Diego Maradona.
Yeah.
And I just
that was all publicity talk.
No. Really? You see?
To get the fans to buy the season tickets.
Did you, Barry, can I ask you a question? Did you start the rumours?
Yes. I said we've got to get our fans more excited. They can't be any more excited than what they are, but throw in this name, that name, and the other name, and let's get going.
And we ended up with Francis and Otto and Claridge.
Yeah, I know.
Brilliant. I've got a message for you from Big Kev. He said he wants to send a message to you just to say thanks for bringing him home.
Yeah, I know. He was marvellous. When I signed him, I used to watch him a lot at Stockport County on a Friday night, and I thought, what an handful, you know. But he's a blue nose through and through, mate.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
He'd run through a brick wall for you, and I'll never forget the 2 goals he scored against Middlesbrough when Brian Robson was in charge in the Coca-Cola Cup to get a semi-final. Wow, what 2 unbelievable. But he got injured then. With his second goal, he sort of snapped his knee, but what 2 sensational goals they was.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Buzz. The one against Leeds as well. That home leg.
Yeah.
What a goal that was.
Yeah, the thing that buggered us up with Leeds in the semi, if you remember, the club decided to sell 2 or 3 of our best players before that game, and also we had a couple of suspensions during that right. You know, for the Leeds game that really buggered us because we did strength in depth at that particular time. But it was still a great achievement for the club to go on that run. Coca-Cola, get as far as they could. We beat Norwich as well, didn't we? Playing football.
Yeah.
And it was great. And you know, and we're talking about cups. The FA Cup when we had Liverpool at home. 2000 went to Anfield, drew 1-1 after extra time. You know, the Liverpool fans give our players a standing ovation. They was brilliant that night. Yeah. And Otto scored, but he should have scored the winner. But there you go. And we had penalties, and I remember going in after to the press, and they said, Barry, you've done marvellous at St Andrews to draw 0-0 with a mighty Liverpool, to bring them here at Anfield and drew 1-1 and, get a standing ovation. And he says, but what went wrong with the penalties? And I said, well, we got such spirit at Birmingham City. All the players are together, and once one player missed the penalty, we all decided to miss it. What a load of bollocks. Oh, really?
Oh, my God. Oh, good God.
But yeah, the players was fantastic. We had a brilliant spirit amongst us, and never say goodbye. We wanted to enjoy ourselves, and we loved the fans. The support from the fans was the main thing, really. We wanted to do it for them.
Right. Okay. So we get relegated, right? And you come out onto the pitch, despite what the police are saying to you or whatever, right? And there's just a load of nutters, right, going mental, thinking we just won the World Cup. How did you handle your players after that back in the dressing room? You know what? We've just dropped a division. However, look at that outside.
Yeah. To be honest, we all came in the dressing room and cried our eyes out.
Like I did, and my sons.
But we cried our eyes out because we thought we'd done enough to stay up. But I knew on the Friday, because Jim Smith phoned me on the Friday. He said, Baz, I love Birmingham City. I want to beat West Brom tomorrow, but I've got to tell you, I've got 7 players not available for me. So,
really?
So he sort of warned me that it wasn't for the want of trying, but his 7 best players.
What an absolute gentleman to do that, though. What a gentleman.
Jim but he was making it beforehand. But after that game, like I say, and after we'd been on the field and the fans put everybody on their shoulders and run round, we all came in the dressing room and cried our eyes out, because although we was disappointed, I don't think until that moment we realised how passionate and committed the fans were. They'd had great support throughout the fight in relegation that year, but we never, we just all broke down. It was so emotional to have a response from the fans when you've got fucking relegated, for fuck's sake. You know
6!
what I mean? I forgot you.
Right, Barry, I can tell you something that is absolutely true, right? You've sworn more times tonight than anybody else has in the last 11 years. Oh, God.
I must apologise to ladies, gentlemen, boys and girls for my foul and abusive language. It's nothing personal. It's just a lack of fucking vocabulary. and they was running out of time, so they came to me, and I put my shirt on and my tie, and that's all. I run out of the shower. So when they finished, they sort of took the camera down and see me bollock naked. Everybody laughed at me.
I love it, mate. I love it. You know what, though? Tell us a story that we were talking about prior to the show about when you signed a certain individual and you got a blue jacket on.
Yeah, that wasn't for Birmingham City. That was for Peterborough.
I'll go on.
And it was a player that we had, Miguel de Souza, and I was arguing as usual with the agent about he wanted this and he wanted that, and I said, well, we're Peterborough United, not Man United. Anyway, eventually he wanted this, he wanted that. I said, no, you can have this, you can have that. And they eventually agreed, and I went, sold to the fat bastard in the blue blazer.
9!
Well, we enjoyed it. And you know, the thing was, I first fell in love with Birmingham City supporters, as I told you, a long time before I joined the club, when I went to Wembley and see you win in the Leyland Daft and see the supporters celebrate. I went, wow, you know, they're lunatics like me. And so when Birmingham come in for me in December, Southend at the time was second top of the championship. And everybody thought I was an idiot to go to Birmingham, who was bottom of the championship. But I just remember, I just felt that Birmingham City was a sleeping giant, and if I could get it going, the fans would come in their droves and, absolutely pick the club up and make it survive and prosper and go forward. And I honestly felt that when I come in there, that we could possibly go to the Premier League. That didn't happen, and but I had no hesitation in leaving Southend to go to Birmingham, despite them being bottom of the league. And if you remember, the first game, it was we played Charlton. First game was Palace, and we lost 2-1.
Yeah.
And then the second game at home, we played Charlton 1-0. I think there was 18,000 there. Then we played West Brom on the Boxing Day, and there was 26,000 there, 25,000, and we beat them as well. Yeah. And I thought, wow, this is going well. And come the new year, unfortunately, we lost to Kidderminster in the FA Cup.
I remember that well. I was stood on that top, mate, believe me.
Missed a penalty and what have you. And then we went a few games and didn't win and what have you. But then we come with a great run at the end, but it was just too late. It crept us up the table, four places, but we went down on goal difference. So it was a sad time, but it was also an interesting time. But the fans came back. And we had some wonderful wins. We went all over the place and won. And the fans loved that goal-mouth action. They loved the players to entertain. And I used to say my team talk was, I don't care if the opposition scored 2 or 3. We want to score 5, 6 or 7. Yeah. And I think we did.
I wanted to ask you, Baz, if I can, what in your managerial career or in your whole career, what's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
The best piece of advice I've ever been given was a piece of advice that Matt Busby gave Sir Alex when he was at Man United and going through a bad time. And Sir Alex said to Matt that, you know, the papers are saying this, the papers are saying that, blah, blah. And Sir Matt said to him, well, you know the answer to that, don't read the papers. And whenever I was getting stick...
Because you actually played for Manchester United, didn't you, Barry?
Eh?
You played for Manchester United, didn't you?
Yeah, well, I was there. But yeah, when I played for England schoolboys 6 times, scored 5 goals, and then I left to go to Man United. I was there 2 years apprentice and 2 years as a pro. But funny enough, I had problems. You know, when you play football, you get knee in the thigh, you get a dead leg and all that. But mine sort of instead of bruising and dispersing, they clotted. Right. And you know, put me out of the game in my early 20s for sort of 7 months on crutches, and then it happened to my other leg, and I was out again for that length of time. And the doctors said that there's something wrong with my blood. Instead of dispersing, it clots, and if the clot travelled to your heart, you're dead. So as a 20-year-old, you feel as fit as anything, and you don't want to be told that. But later on in life, I must say that I did have 2 heart attacks, and it was good advice at the time that I didn't really take any notice. But because of that, it stopped me having a career as a player. And my first managerial role, I was only 28 at Dunstable. And
right, okay.
After that, I lasted 32 years in management, lads. And I, like you, are absolutely amazed I lasted that long. Only so far bullshit can take you.
11. Tell us a story, Barry, about your children on walking out onto the pitch at Wembley.
My children was marvellous at Wembley because I had all 4 of them go out at Wembley, although I was only allowed 1 mascot. My son Adam went. He came to every game with me. He was on the bench at every game with me, and all that. And in actual fact, when I got the sack, I'll tell you about getting the sack because it's the strangest thing ever. We played, like I said, the team from across the road in the Birmingham.
Yeah, you've done all 10 swear words, and you've managed not to say that word.
And it was the night of the Sports Argus Awards. So basically, I had to be there for the game. We beat them 2-0. We finished up with 9 players. Alan Jones, the secretary, told me it was the first time that Birmingham had won the Birmingham Senior Cup for 17 years. And it's the biggest trophy I've ever seen. So I took it to the Sports Argus Awards, and at the top table was David Gold and his brother Ralph, and of course Doug Ellis. So I gave the cup to Doug, and he said, how many did we beat you by? I said, you never beat us at all, mate. We beat you 2-0. It ain't yours, it's the Golds. And the So, I mean, David Gold in particular was very good to me when I was at Birmingham. They used to come on a Friday night when we used to stay overnight. He used to say, well, once the lads had gone to bed, we'll have a glass of wine and chat about things and all that. He was very good. And this particular night afterwards, we had one drink and he said, I'm going to bed. And Ralph said, I'm going to bed. And then Gary Newbond come over, actually, and he said, yeah, who are you? So he said to me, have you got any signings for next year? I went, yeah. I said, I've met Marcus Stewart. I've signed him on a 3-year contract. I've got to go to a tribunal. He was a centre forward from Bristol Rovers at the time, got loads and loads of goals.
Yeah.
And done well in the Championship and went on. And I've said I've also signed Martin O'Connor from Walsall. And, you know, I've got to go to the tribunal with them. But I've met them. I've met their agents. I've got the blue contracts in my briefcase. He went, the Blues fans will be pleased with that. What do you think about that, David, to David Golden? David sort of, he couldn't get away quick enough. He went to bed early and I didn't quite understand why. Until the next morning, I went into St Andrews. I went in the physio room. There was a couple of lads, because of the war the night before there was a couple of injured lads and what have you. So then I went upstairs and it was night of the LMA awards night as well. And I'd invited Jolly Jack Wiseman as my guest because he likes a game of golf in the afternoon and he likes a cigar and a drink at night. So I invited him as my guest. So he was coming with me. So I was in the office on the phone and he walked by and I thought that's strange because he normally pokes his head in. First team's here, swinging, you know how it is, bubbly Jack. Yeah. He walked by me. Anyway, I finished my phone conversation and went down the office. He was in Karen's office. Karen wasn't there. He was by himself walking round. So I went in. I went, all right, Jack. He said, no. He said, I can't come today. I said, you can't come today. I said, don't worry. It's only a piss up, mate. And round the golf. 11. Don't worry. He said, no. And he started welling up. He said, no, I can't. I said, well, what's the matter? It doesn't matter. You know, it doesn't matter. He said, yeah, it does. I can't come. I said, well, why can't you come? He said, because you got the sack. I said, I got the sack? So he said, yeah. So Alan Jones was across the road and I went, and he broke down. Big Jack broke down. I went, Alan, here. So he come across the road. He went, well, I said, Jack's just told me I got the sack. So I looked at Alan's face and I could tell. I said, when the bloody hell did this happen? He said, 3 weeks ago. Nobody had told me. It was unbelievable. So I went downstairs. I went in the physio room again and the lad says to me, Neil said, you all right, Gaffer? I went, no, I've just got the sack. So he said, why? I said, I ain't got a clue. I said, I phoned Sullivan, phoned Karen, I phoned Gold, I've phoned everybody, can't get hold of them. So anyway, I got in my car and I was going to Sockville House, which is St Albans, for the afternoon and the evening. I thought, bloody hell, I got a call in at Bedford for my home. Well, tell my wife. So I've got in, walked in the door, She's upstairs. I went, Kirst, you ain't going to believe this, love. She shouted down, yeah, you got the sack. You got 84 messages. Everybody knew by me. So anyway, she come downstairs. She said, look, we've got to pick the kids up. You'll have to tell the kids before you go to Sopwell House. So took the kids. She took 3 of them home. I took Adam and we walked home and I just said, look, son, I've got the sack. So he said, why, Dad? I said, I don't know why. I haven't been able to talk to anybody yet, but I've got the sack. So I said, it happens in football. You know, we've had a wonderful time. We'll get on. So we're walking home. We go in the garden and there's like 20 press, cameras, everything. So he runs in. I do an interview. I ain't got a clue what I said. And then I go in and I go upstairs and get ready to go out. And I'm walking past some bedrooms and I hear my son crying. You know, when they cry uncontrollably and they can't get
yes.
It's horrible. And I went in his room and cursed my wife's cuddling him. And he had all these rosettes, scarves, pictures of blues all around his wall. And he'd ripped them all off and they was all on the floor.
Oh, that's sad.
Like hell. You know, it was heartbreaking. And I said to Kirst, I can't go tonight. She said, you got to go, Barry. You got to go. I'll sort it out. Go. She's brilliant, my missus. So anyway, I walked downstairs and at the bottom of the stairs is my daughter, Anna Marie, skipping and jumping about saying, goody, goody, goody. Daddy's got the sack. Daddy's got the sack. So I said, what's the matter with you? Why are you so pleased that Dad's got the sack? She said, at least I'll see you now.
Oh,
the emotion, your kids, you know. Anyway, I went to Sopwell House and they was having dinner and I walked in and to be fair, all the league managers stood up and applauded me in the room and that was worth, boy, you can't buy it. You know what I mean? It was just great. And Trevor was there, to be fair. And he came over and he said, oh, you've done a great job at Blues. You know, you got them going again. I went, yeah. I said, you know, you'll be the next manager, Trev. He went, well, they've already asked me 5 times, but it wasn't the time to come in at that time. You know, you've been successful and all that. But he said this time it might be. And you know, he took over. Now, I wish they'd have said, you know, come and see us here. Is a glass of beer or a glass of champagne or something. You've took us as far as you can. You know, we want to give the job to Trevor Francis. I'd have said, oh, great. You know, he's on a different level to what I am. And if you back him, he'll take you to the promised land. But Trev was unlucky, to be fair. Nearly,
man.
Very, very unlucky. And then, you know, all the Blue Noses wanted him to do it, but he didn't. And then Steve Bruce took over and he done it, didn't he? So
he did, yeah. Are you still sending Christmas cards out to the Gold, Sullivans and Brady?
I am actually. Yeah, okay. I am. I tell you what, they treat me better now than when I was manager. they invite me to. In fact, I went last Thursday as David Gold's guest when they played in Europe, and obviously David Sullivan and David Gold. They always invited me, all of them. They look after me and my wife, or me and my boys. Adam came with me last week. You know, we sit in a director's box on the halfway line. We have a meal before the game. That they treat me absolutely fantastic. Really.
We didn't actually get to the end of the story where you managed to get all 4 kids to come out at Wembley.
Yeah. Well, I did. I've got pictures of them all coming out.
Oh yeah, I know. I watched it. But you were only allowed one. So how did you, Barry Fry, manage to get all 4 of your lovely children to walk down that tunnel with you?
Gift to the Gab, it's called. Gift to the Gab.
You ain't got that, mate. You ain't got that.
Did you?
I ain't got it now, but I used to have it.
Mark,
you certainly had it at the Kenny Burns night last week.
What a absolute fantastic occasion that was for me and my family. Beautiful. And when we scored the winning goal in the auto windscreen, and there's a lovely picture of somebody shouting me from the crowd, all the blue noses, and I ran over and it was my wife. And I give
You know what? I want to say, Bass, you know when you had your kids on the pitch at Wembley?
Yeah.
I bet you named them as subs.
I tried to, but the referee wouldn't accept it.
I bet you signed. How many players from Birmingham City did you actually sign?
I'll tell you a story. I actually had 46 players on the books. And I'll tell you a story. Karen went on holiday and she come back 3 days early. Otherwise, I'd have made it to 50. But let me tell you about them 46 players, because it's a bit of a myth. At that time, we had a decent youth team. That I always take notice of the youths. We had a first team and we had a reserve team that played in the Central League up, you know, Everton, Liverpool, Man United, all them sides. And then we had a youth team. Now, the youth team, under 18s, it was too big a jump, in my opinion, to go from that to play in our reserves at Everton, Liverpool, Man United and all that. So I needed something in between. So I joined a league called the Capital League, which was a London league, really. And we played our under-21s in that. And we won the double in that, which didn't get any publicity at all. But it helped me develop young players that I had coming through. And at that time, the first team used to have 14 players, only 3 subs. So we had 14 players for the first team, 14 players for the reserves in the Central League, and then another 14 for the Capital League, which makes you up to 42. But we had a few extra, you know what I mean? So it's a bit of a myth. I had 46 pros. I did, but some of them was on like 100 quid a week, a lot of them. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it wasn't a big burden, but what it did help was us to develop younger players to become first team players.
Alan wants you to come in as well. Do you want to come in, Alan?
I was just thinking about an incident. We were watching that. I was watching that team with you. You were in the stand at Sutton United, Sutton Coldfield, and Danny Wallace was playing, and he cut in from the right and had a shot, and everybody round was applauding, and you said, "Stop clapping, you'll want more money."
Well, you know Danny Wallace very well, then.
Out of all the players that you signed, Barry, who used to make you laugh the most? And have you got any funny stories you can tell us?
He's got loads.
Oh, Paul, stop it. You're going to be here till a week next Thursday now.
If I started with them, I'd miss the game Saturday at Middlesbrough, lads. Wow. A lot of people have asked me who was the best player I felt that I had, and you know, Dominguez, Daish, Claridge, Hunt, but millions of them really. But the best player for me that done the most was Mark Ward.
Mark Ward, I got
him for nothing, but to get him the money he wanted, I had to tell Karen that I was going to make him a player coach. I never made him a player coach, but that's why I had to tell Karen to get a few more quid. But Wardy was brilliant on and off the field. He was a great leader of men. Everybody looked up to him, you know what I mean? And he ran the place for me on the field and off the field. And he contributed, in my opinion, the most, because he got hold of that midfield and pinged it about to players and all that, and scored his fair share of goals and what have you. So I think Wardy made the biggest influence on the thing. We had such banter in them days, such wonderful togetherness and team spirit. I wouldn't like to pick one different guy out, because they all took the piss out of each other, and it was 14. You know what I mean? It was a laugh. It really was.
Yeah. I remember Ricky turning up in his was it his BMW he had with the bass bin in the back?
with the roof off.
Yeah. You could hear him. You could hear, he was arriving in Yardley. You could hear him from Solihull, like arriving to training.
Yeah. Ricky, crazy man.
He's still
Yeah.
crazy.
Some proper good characters, though, weren't they?
Yeah.
They was all different, but the beauty of it is they all moulded into one. You know what I mean? They all complement one another, so to speak. And it was the best 2.5 years of my life, no doubt.
Oh, man, that's amazing. Well done. Thanks for saying that, bud.
Marvellous.
Paul, have we got any questions coming in from our audience tonight, mate?
Yeah.
We've got about 20,000.
We've got loads. So we've got one off Craig. Can you ask Baz, when he brought Liam Daish to the club, did he know he was going to head anything, no matter how big or small it was?
I did, because I'd seen a lot of him. Well, I'll tell you a story. He was at Cambridge United when I was at Barnet, and Chris Turner was the manager of Cambridge, and I loaned Daishy at Barnet. So right. I knew when I come to Birmingham City, he'd had a few injuries, and we paid 50 grand for him, which was nothing. But I know Karen tried to get out of that deal. She thought I was buying a cripple, but I knew he was a man mountain, mate. He tackled double-decker buses and he had 747s away. He was my Captain Marvel, Daisy, no doubt about that. You know.
Yeah. And a couple
I knew about him because he'd played for me before, and I knew sort of character. He was a winner. Miserable bastard, but a winner.
He was a class act. He was a Captain Marvel. We called him, didn't we? And So a couple of questions coming in from Stephen Gill. Who contacted you about Jose Dominguez? How did you find out about Jose?
Right. At the time, I had Lil Fucillo, who was manager of the under-21s and a scout for me. And he said Dave Hodgson, who was in Portugal, had recommended this player. Now, and he was going to send some videos. I'm not a manager that watches videos. I want to go and watch you. I want to watch you, what you do off the ball and all that. So I said to Lil, no, David will have to bring him over here, right? And I'll have to have a look at him. So Odgie rang me up and he said, look, I've got, he was with Benfica at the time. And he said, look, I can get him over for a week's training. But he said, you'll have to put him up in a hotel. So I said, yeah, no problem. So I phoned Karen. I said, look, I've got this Portuguese boy coming over that I want to look at. I want to put him in the Hyatt and all that for a week. She said, no. I went, oh. So I went in her office and I said, why have you said no? She said, we ain't got any money. I said, we couldn't get David Sullivan on the phone. So she got David on the phone. I went, David, I've got this player coming over and, it'll cost us 80 grand if we sign him. And he wants to stay in the hotel for a week. Can we afford that? He went, no. I went, oh, fine. So I said, well, okay. If I have him over for a week and get somebody to sponsor the hotel for a week, and we decide to pay the 80 grand, will you reimburse the hotel? So he said no. I said, fair enough. So anyway, we had him over and he was sensational. I mean, remember the where we trained was like a ploughed field. And he was sensational. So anyway, I arranged this. I said to Karen, we've got this game tomorrow, Karen. I said, I'd like you to see this Jose Dominguez play. She went, oh, what time? I said, we're kicking off at 1 o'clock and I'm going to have it. It's St Andrews. She said, okay, I'll be there. Anyway, we didn't. We kicked off at 10:30. And by the time she got there, I told all the players, I said, look, go to Karen and tell her this boy is sensational, which he was. All the lads loved him in training. Sensational, we got to sign him. So anyway, She got there, she come up, storming in my office. She said, I thought you was going to have a game. I said, I had it this morning. She went, yeah, why? Why didn't you tell me? I said, I forgot, sorry. She said, anyway, all the players have told me what a fantastic player he is. I went, yeah, I know he is. I told you that, Karen. She went, oh, I said, can I come in your office with you and we'll phone David Sullivan? She said, yeah, of course. So I phoned David Sullivan. I said, look, we've had this game. We've been here all week. We want to sign him. He's different class. So he said, yeah, but we haven't really got the money back. I said, well, Karen's seen him. She thought he was great as well. Went, yeah, David, all the players told me he's good. But I said that she'd seen him, you know. And so I said, let's put it this way, David. If I said to you, give me 80 grand and I'll turn that 80 grand into $1 million, what would you do? He said, give you the 80 grand. I said, okay, I'll sign him this afternoon. Hey, and we did. We got 1.8 million off Sporting Lisbon for him.
Yeah, and I think you said that before we went live, Baz, we made 12.5 million profit as a club on all your signings.
Yeah, you talk about all the players I had, all the good ones, all the bad ones. I still made a profit of 12.5. There's not many managers can say that. And
absolutely.
And had the fun and the enjoyment goes with it as well.
Yeah.
But,
giving us that fun and enjoyment as well.
Jose was like, I'll never forget. I went to a local working men's club, but I used to go around Birmingham and do them, and got asked all sorts of silly questions. And one particular day, the guy said, he said something about Jose. I love Jose Dominguez. He's fantastic guy, and blah 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 blah. So one of the blue noses shout from the audience, yeah, you wouldn't like him if you come home and found him in bed with your missus, would you? so he turned around, I'll never forget this. He turned around, he says, if I open the door and see him giving my missus one, I'd go back to the pub and let him finish it off. They love Jose. They absolutely love him.
Oh God, we so knew this was going to happen tonight, didn't we, guys?
I'm in so much trouble.
Guys, talk to me about Rui Estevez. He's got to be the shortest cameo role in the first team in history.
What happened to him?
Rui Estevez.
Rui Estevez.
Put him on for about 10 minutes and brought him back off, did you?
Never saw him again.
Well, I didn't know nothing about him. He appeared one day, and I had to look at him, and I obviously didn't fancy him. So he was I can't take the credit for bringing him into the club.
So who did?
He played at Orient in the semi-final.
Yeah.
He played at Orient in the second leg of the semi-final of the windscreen, and he played 45 minutes, and we never saw him again. So you don't put a trialist on in a semi-final.
You know, and I know it's all a matter of opinions, football, and obviously I didn't fancy him.
What do you think about the song that was made about you? Fly Barry Fly is a hell of a guy.
Oh, all my grandchildren sing it. But they get it on YouTube or something, don't they? It's absolutely fantastic. So somebody sent me a thing and I played it, and wow. I couldn't remember all them players that they mentioned, by the way.
Are you ready?
They were all yours.
What do you make of football nowadays compared to back when you was managing in the 90s? Like, what do you make of it today?
The game's completely changed in so many ways, and some of the ways it's not for the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, me too.
It's it's all money orientated nowadays, and sportsmanship's gone out the window, and what have you. And it's just greed and more greed and more greed.
Fantastic one coming in from friend of the show and actor Tim Faraday, Baz. Here,
actor, please, Paul. Actor.
Friend. He's asking how good was Peter Shearer, Baz. I thought he was brilliant with Wardy in the middle. Which he was.
Yeah, he was my unsung hero. He used to do a lot of the dirty work that goes unnoticed, but the players appreciated what he contributed to the team. You know, he was great, and he come up with a few goals as well. But he was strong. You know, he was great. Like he said, him and Wardy midfield run it so many times. It was brilliant. Brilliant.
From Adam, he says, "Can you read this, please?" Baz, for me, your best signing was Martin Skip O'Connor. Fan favourite and player favourite for the players that played with him. Definitely.
Didn't Trevor sign him, Baz?
Well, let me tell you about that.
Go on, then.
When Trevor Francis took over, he rang me and he said he wanted to go through all the players that I'd left him. And even he said there was some missing because he was told I had 40-odd players and I didn't. I did. And I went through the players and I said, right, Trev, I've signed 2 players for you. Marcus Stewart, a centre forward, he'll get 25 goals for you next year, different class. And he said, well, I said, I've got a contract in my drawer, in my briefcase. I'll leave it with Karen and I'll leave it with at the club with Jack and all that. And the other one I've signed is Martin O'Connor, 3-year contract, both of them from Walsall. You'll have to go to the tribunal. And Trevor said to me he didn't know too much about either player. And then Karen phoned me up and said, look, Trevor don't want them players, so can you tell them because you signed them? So in actual fact, I tried to get both of them to come to Peterborough because I took over at Peterborough. Martin agreed to come, Martin O'Connor, but Marcus Stewart, I think he went with Brucey and got Brucey up where he scored 25 goals or something.
Huddersfield,
Something like that. So anyway, about 2 months into the season, I had a phone call from Karen to say, our staff want to know, would you sell Martin O'Connor? So I said, well, I came in here, Karen, and I've got Martin O'Connor. I paid 275 grand at a tribunal for him. But we ain't got a pot to piss in. We're struggling like hell.
15!
Yeah. So I finished up selling Martin for 575 grand to Birmingham, and Trevor took him, and he'd been a magnificent servant to Birmingham City ever since. And
ever since.
From Mark Meredith, he's just put, I remember when a friend of mine, a friend of mine's brother died. Barry invited us up to Peterborough so he could sign a picture for the funeral. Meant so much to the family of Barry.
Oh, bless. Nice one, mate. Super. Full for it.
I tell you what happened, right? we were struggling. We as I told you before, we beat Charlton, we beat West Brom, and then we went into the new year. And I don't think I won a game for 2 months. And we got beat by Kidderminster in the Cup. And I was racking my brain, and Alan Jones come in to me and he said, what's the matter? I said, I can't get this right. You know what I mean? No matter what team I do. He said, it's not your fault. I said, it's not my fault. Of course it's my fault. I picked the team. Not tactics. I'm not a tactical man, but I picked the team. Of course it's my fault. He went, no, it's the gypsy's curse. I went, gypsy's curse? I'm not superstitious. He said, yeah. He said, Ron Saunders trying to get rid of it. I said, by doing what? He said, he had crosses on the dressing room floor, crosses on the dressing room doors, crosses on the football boots. I said, what happened to him? He said he got the sack. I went, So I said, do you know anybody in the gypsy world? He went, yeah, I know the top bloke. I said, well, bring him down here, introduce me. So he fetched this guy down, and I said to this fella, look, mate, they reckon there's a gypsy's curse on St Andrews, and I want to try to get rid of it. Otherwise, Birmingham City will be getting rid of me. I can't win a game. So he said, "Oh, you will have to urinate in 4 corners of the ground."
What a lovely word that was.
Well, yeah. So anyway, I tried to piss up 4 corners, right? And lads, if you've ever tried to squirt on the 1 corner flag, walk behind the goal, hold it in, and then squirt again, and then walk all round the touchline, do that. It took me 3 days, but I managed to do it.
And is that when we went on that unbeaten run and nearly stayed up?
Wouldn't take me 3 days.
Hey, but it didn't work. I still got the sack, didn't I, in the end? After he said, "Do you know what you're doing?" I went, yeah, of course. You said that, and we finished up with 4 kids. Anyway, when I got it, I took the second mortgage out. I took my pension out early, put it into Peterborough. I had a testimonial against the Manchester United, Sir Alex fetched his full first team down. I got 258 grand. I put it into football club. The deeds of my mother-in-law's house I had to give to Barclays Bank to get an overdraft. So I'd done everything, absolutely everything, to keep this club afloat. And I was still struggling. I had to find 150 grand every month to pay the wages.
Jesus.
Then Big Ron come in to do that Big Ron program that got me 150 grand for 3 months to keep us going as well. And then the owner, that's the owner now, seen that television documentary and come and bought the club off me for £1. But my wife says to me that she loved me so much she'd live in a tent down a river with me. She don't know how fucking close she is.
Wow. Never, ever.
Nice one, Murray.